My name is Leslie Feuerborn. I'm a self-educated architect, and I trying to fund one of my architectural projects, which I've done over the years. Starting my early 20s, I've been designing pavilions and making architectural structures, a variety of kinds. But I've come to focus over the years on outdoor pavilions for the garden. Because I sort of leave although I dabble in natural construction for dwellings, I don't try to advertise myself in that manner, but I do try to promote my pavilion designs, and this is one of my latest. I have a number of other ones that were more elaborate and more expensive, and it's hard to fund those and get the money for those. So I've simplified it into a steel pavilion that's about, I made this one fairly small. It's about, this is a 1/6 scale model, but the actual size would be about 10-foot diameter across and about 10 foot high. So this would be like, these columns would be 6 foot high, so a person 6 foot high would be about so high. And these are uses steel pipe and steel plates so that it can be moved. It can be taken apart. They would be bolted to the steel plate, these arches, which would be about 5 foot across, and they'd only weigh about 75 to 100 pounds at the most. Each of these arch pieces here, as well as the columns, would be about 100 pounds. So it could be managed by 2 people quite easily. And I'd probably make I'd custom build a scaffolding in the center for centering everything, aligning everything while it's being assembled or disassembled. So everything would be, like I say, bolted separately, and then we'd have rings up here. Like these rings represent a 3-foot diameter rings. If you can imagine, I have over here some representations of. There's a 3-foot diameter, that silvery looking one. And then the center ring in the top here is 42 inches, and that's about the size of that brown looking one there. And so I'd also be able to cut elaborate patterns into the steel. If I had, what this GoFundMe is about is raising the money for an ArcLight plasma cutting table and equipment for cutting the steel into elaborate designs like this. And so it's not just plain steel, it's very artistic. And I can also create fantastic mandalas. I'm a mandala expert, and I've made a number of very intricate mandalas involving steel and stained glass. So I've done that for a number of years, and I got a number of examples of things I've done right here, and some more I'll probably show you later in the video. And this kind of sort of thing, there's one out there in the garden, as you can see. It's about 4 foot diameter, and something like that could go up in the dome, and that combined with a series of other smaller mandalas would comprise the dome. And it would be very visually spectacular and a spiritual experience of sorts for anybody who loves being in the garden and being in nature. But so I'm trying to. It's difficult trying to market my work without the equipment I need to actually create it, and getting over that hurdle of raising that. It'll take about $25,000 to raise the money for the plasma cutting table and all the equipment, and to buy the steel, and to get my business going, which I call Archidelic. It's my own. It's a name I invented. Sort of describes what I do. It's architectural, and it's delicious. It's delica, and it's also kind of psychedelic, not necessarily in the traditional sense of psychedelic, but more. In the more modern sense of the psychedelic, but more in the pre-60s sense of psychedelic, which is like, an awakened mind, sort of expanded mind, and more focused on the artistic elements, the creativity of Archidelic, the concept of Archidelica, and this kind of structure is going to lend itself it would be like a spiritual, a sacred space in the garden. And so this is very unique, what I'm trying to do here. There's nobody else I know of is really come to grips with. It's taken me decades and decades of experimentation to simplify it into something that's a practical approach. I mean, I've built a ceramic shell dome pavilion in Old Town Albuquerque that's now used for weddings all through the warm weather. And so I've done the concrete filled ceramic face dome structure, and I've done wooden dome structures and just plain concrete, what they call a pumice-crete dome. So I've had experience with those, and I may go back to combining concrete faced with ceramic and with steel, combined with the steel. And there's just all kinds of varieties of ways to do this. You can cover the steel with mosaics. It's just very versatile medium, and I can even just create the basic structure for people who have an artistic bent, you just want the basic plain structure, and they say, "Oh, I'm a mosaic artist, for instance, and I just look. I don't know how to build a structural frame like this, but if I had the steel structure in place in my backyard, I could cover it with the mosaics and make something fantastic." So this would lend itself perfectly to that. So I think this will be a very successful enterprise if I could just get the funding to get started.